Oh, all right, good morning. So, by consensus, we're going to be learning this chapter of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch called Dinei Shmiras Guf V'Nefesh Ubal Tashchis. Boy to Zayin Sivim in English, the laws governing personal safety and the preservation of property. Okay, so before we begin, just two things. Firstly, on yesterday's Gemara, I was thinking a little bit about this idea of stating who you are and that you want to drink water. Right? This came up. It says, wake up a friend and tell him you want to drink water, or declare that you want to drink water. So perhaps it's kind of like, okay, water represents Torah, as we know. The person wants to drink Torah, but there are internal struggles that are holding him back from doing so. And the best way to deal with it is to face it directly, the problem, and declare emphatically, this is what I want to do. And that emphatic resolve, I want to engage in the right thing, internally, in and of itself, allows the person to break through. As opposed to trying to fight the issue and dealing with it and this, but just an emphatic statement of, here I am, I want to drink.
So kind of like a resolution.
It's a resolution. It's like you're almost declaring to yourself, this is what I want. You have a friend is even better. So you can have someone who can hold you
like
as you do that. Yeah, like you're telling someone else, this is what I want to do. And he says, okay, let's do it. Right, is it? Or even to yourself, or knock on it and say, I'm coming in. Right? Maybe. Okay, so that was just the thought I had. Number two, understanding a little bit, some background on how this chapter of the Shulchan Aruch works in the Alter Rebbe, different than others. So we all know that there are four sections of the Shulchan Aruch. There's Orach Yoredeya, Even Ezer, and Choshen Mishpat. Now, not all of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch made it to us. Much of it was burned. Many of the manuscripts were burned in a fire. Now, we'll just focus on three of them. The three sections of which we have the most from the Alter Rebbe, the Orach Chaim, the Yeridea, and the Even Ezer. So they were all. Good morning, Alan. They were all made differently with different intents. So Orach Chaim, which covers the halachas of daily routine and the calendar. So the laws of davening, right? Daily routine, laws of brachas, davening, meal, washing your hands for a meal, tefillin, tzitzis, and then it goes to the calendar. So Shabbos, Yom Tov, and so on.
So Orach means really like the way of life.
Way of life. So it goes through the daily routine and your annual routine. So that's Orach Chaim. And this designation, by the way, Orach Chaim Yerdea, this dividing halachas into four sections comes from the Torah and has been replicated by the Shulchan Aruch Rabbi Yosef Cairo. We're going to follow that pattern as well as the others. So the Alter Rebbe overall follows the pattern of the Shulchan Aruch in these four sections. And when it comes to Orach Chaim, the intent was written in such a way that anybody can pick it up and read it. Now, unlike the Shulchan Aruch of Rabbi Yosef Cairo, which just has conclusions, the Alter Rebbe has different opinions, why they have their opinions, and then gives you the conclusion. But it could be read by anybody, right? We saw this when we learned the laws of Kiddush, for example. Some say you should hold it this way. Some say you should hold it that way. The rationale for doing it this way is this. The rationale for doing it that way is this. But we're going to do it this way because of X, Y, and Z consideration. Or the custom here in Ashkenaz to do it this way. Others do it the other way, right? That's the Alter Rebbe's way of doing it. But it's still written in a way that even the layperson can pick up and read. You don't require any background. He doesn't even say, the Rambam says. He just says, some say. Right? You don't know anything before you start. You just read. Right? It begins like, there's a mitzvah to do this, because the verse says X. Our sages arrive from it, and it means X. And one way to understand it is X, and therefore the halacha would be X. Another way to understand it is Y, and therefore the halacha would be Y, and so on and so forth. Okay, because it's meant for popular consumption. The next section, Yoredeya, which is the laws of kosher. You're learning. It's in Yoredeya. The laws of nida, family purity, other such halachas are there as well. Now, predominantly, Yoredeya is actually meant for a rabbi more than it is for the average person to read from. Right? Yoredeya literally means to instruct knowledge. It speaks to the instructor. So whereas Orach Chaim, really everybody should know Orach Chaim. Because it's your daily routine. You have to know what the halachas are in their daily routine, how to put on tefillin, how to put on tzitzis, how to make a bracha, how to daven, and so on. So those are meant for the layman, and therefore it's written that way. Whereas the Yoda Day of Nalt Rebbe, we have we don't have kashrus, unfortunately, but we have other halachas. There's many parts of the manuscripts that were burned, or whatever, that didn't make it to us for whatever reason. We don't have them, but it's designed for a rabbi to be able to follow. So the way Yoda Day and the Alter Shulchan Aruch is built, it's built almost like a Shachan Atlas is built, in which you're reading the text of Rabbi Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch, and then in the periphery you have the Alter Rebbe's Shulchan Aruch, which is like a commentary, running commentary on the Rabbi Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch, the way Shachan Atlas would be, as you're learning, right? You have the body of the text, the Shulchan Aruch itself, and then you have the super commentaries that come with the background and the different opinions and the arguments and where the differences are and so on, how to apply the Shulchan Aruch, how to not apply, and so on. Now, Rebbe will do a very similar thing in Yoda Deya. Now, Choshen Mishpat is actually very different, because Choshen Mishpat, for the most part, not all of it, for the most part, is actually meant for a dayan. Right. Whereas a Yoda Deya is meant for like a rabbi who has to respond to kosher questions and has to respond to questions about people's family purity and so on and so forth. Choshen Mishpat, which deals with the laws of monetary or civil law, for the most part, it's resolving civil dispute, and therefore it's not even for an average rabbi, it's for a dayan. Right? If you're learning smicha, you learn Yoda Deya. If you're learning dayanus, you learn Choshen Mishpat. Okay, so now the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat, what he decided to do is like this. He decided to write Choshen Mishpat for the average person. So which means collecting from all scattered from Choshen Mishpat and other parts of Shulchan Aruch that have laws that are relevant to everyone, and organize them into chapters. So whereas both Oida Chaim and Yoda Deya will follow the same chapter numbers of Rabbi Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch, chapter numbers, in Oida Chaim rewritten for the layperson, and Yoda Deya written as a super commentary to the Rabbi Yosef Karo, but they're still following the chapters of Rabbi Yosef Karo. The Choshen Mishpat doesn't do that, because the Choshen Mishpat doesn't cover the Alter Rebbe's Choshen Mishpat does not cover all the halachas that are in the Rabbi Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat. He only selects from them those things that are relevant to the masses. So he takes those things, collects them into chapters, and gives them titles, which is why you won't see your chapter number on this page you're looking at right here. You won't find the chapter number.
I see that.
It just says the law is covering this, because he's not. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering where the chapter.
So there's no chapter number there, because he's not following the pattern of the Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch. The chapter we're learning now is collected from all over, but all under the title of laws governing personal safety and preservation of property. As like independent chapter that collects them all into one place. So because Matzav Choshen Mishpat, as I mentioned, is meant for a dayan who's litigating, and the Alter Rebbe's Choshen Mishpat was meant for the average layperson. The same way the Orach Chaim was made for the average layperson. So all the relevant sections of Choshen Mishpat that are relevant to your average person, he collected into these chapter-like essays, if you will, we each with their own title, and therefore there's no number really on these things. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Choshen Mishpat section, and this comes from Choshen Mishpat. Yeah, what did you say?
Are they more or less the same length, or is like Orach Chaim the longest book?
Orach Chaim is the biggest of the books.
Yeah, and then
of what we have.
Yeah,
Choshen Mishpat is I think Ibn Ezra is even smaller actually than the Alter Rebbe. Maybe very, very little of Ibn Ezra, if at all. I'm trying to remember now. Where is it? Yeah, there is. We don't even have Ibn Ezra. It's just Choshen Mishpat, and that's it.
That's my second question too. Is that at the times of the Alter Rebbe when like it was burned while he was still alive?
I believe so. I don't remember the entire story.
Right.
But the Alter Rebbe actually wrote a second version of the Shulchan Aruch, which is completely gone, with the exception of 4 chapters at the beginning, the laws of Natil Sedayim, that we have from the second version of the Shulchan Aruch.
Yeah.
Like he redid it. He did it once and then we did it again.
So could be wrong, but didn't he have like Hasidim that learned and knew all his works off by heart, and then they wouldn't have written it down?
So maybe you can find a text. I mean, obviously, this is divine providence.
Other works, right?
Yes, divine providence. Every now and again, like recently, there was discovered a new section of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, which was very exciting for the Torah world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So every now and again, very rarely, but it happens every now and again, like a manuscript pops up with new insight and new text. That happens, but it's rare.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little background. That's what we're looking at. Sorry? Yeah. So let's begin. I'm going to read in Hebrew. You can follow in English. I don't know why the typeset came out so small. It wasn't intentional. Just how the computer configured it. I don't know if I did anything to the settings. I don't know. Okay. Dinei Shmiras Guf Nefesh Bal Tashchis, the mitzvahs of, they translate as for personal safety and preservation of property, which is true. But Shmiras Guf Nefesh means to guard oneself, I guess personal safety. Right? Guf meaning the body, and Nefesh being the soul. So it's both preservation of the physical and the mental, spiritual, right? It's Guf and Nefesh.
Mm-hmm.
And Bal Tashchis. Bal Tashchis means the prohibition against wasting, which again is a preservation of property. There's a prohibition. We may not waste.
I thought it only was referring to food. I didn't know that.
Okay, we'll discover. We'll learn. But there's a mitzvah not to waste, not to destroy property. Tashchis literally means, Tashchis literally means destruction. Baal means don't. Right. We are forewarned from destroying anything. Right. We'll learn about the details of that in this chapter.
Apply to anything.
Sorry?
Could apply to anything. It's not
just, we will see. We will see.
There's waste, the leftovers.
We will see. We will see. It's going to be there. Okay. Mitzvahs aseh, it is a biblical commandment. Lases adam, for a person to construct. Micah, a fence or guardrail. Lagagoy, for his roof. Shenemar, as the verse reads, you should make a guardrail or a fence for your roof. Vahu, and this obligation applies. Shia beis dira, it is a home in which you're dwelling. Aval, but by contrast, beis hakneses, beis medrash, a synagogue or a shul or a study hall, beis ha'otzer, or a storehouse, a warehouse, a beis habakar, a place of cattle, teven, a place where you store straw, torim, we're exempt from putting a guardrail on the roof. Why? Because people don't use the roofs there. Because it is not common for people to be using the roof of these structures. And therefore, Gagim Shalanu, our homes here in Russia, Turim, are exempt because people don't go up there. In other words, the obligation of building a guardrail is a question of personal safety, right? So if it's the kind of roof that people go on, you got to put a guardrail. Not, don't have to. That simple.
Which is why we don't have one on ours today.
Unless you have a rooftop garden.
Unless you have a rooftop deck or a garden, then you would have to. That's right.
Yeah.
But the halacha, as we're going to see, applies also to your balcony. You're obligated to put a guardrail on a balcony. Right? If you look at my parents, sorry?
The laws of personal safety.
That's right. So, for example, if you go to my parents' home and you walk down like that path to go up the stairs, you'll look to the left and you'll see a guardrail. You know, many don't have a guardrail over the driveway. But my grandfather insisted that my parents put it up. It's a mitzvah to make a micah. For the mitzvah of having a guardrail, because people walk on that path, and there's a drop off to the driveway.
Yeah, it's a ledge.
At least towards the end, it's quite high.
Right.
As we'll see, it reaches exactly as we'll see. And therefore, my grandfather insisted my parents put up a guardrail for this mitzvah. Yeah. So let's see. The whole bias, any home, she'ain by dalad al dalad amis, that isn't 4 cubits by 4 cubits, potter is exempt. Why again? Because it's so small that it's uninhabitable.
It's not a dwelling.
That's right, it's not a dwelling. The ancient bias alav, and we cannot consider it halachically to be a dwelling, and therefore exempt from building a micah from building this guardrail. Halacha beis, goy v'hamicah, the height of the guardrail, and pakis masar tvachim is no less than 10 handbreadths. No less than 10 handbreadths. So that one should not fall off that roof. It's usually
how tall is that in, let's say,
10 tvachim?
Yeah.
It's not very high.
4 feet?
No way.
20 feet.
10 tvachim is not 4 feet.
I'm asking.
20 feet.
Maybe 2.5.
Oh, really? Okay.
20
Oh,
feet.
I'm sorry.
10 tvachim. 10 amas, that's way high.
No, sorry.
A tefach is this.
Right.
10 of those, it's not so high.
Right.
10 handbreadths.
10 handbreadths is very low.
Right. Okay.
14 inches.
Something like that. It's not very high.
15.
Less than 2 feet even.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, more than,
Let's see. Maybe they have in the footnote here.
less than 2 feet. 15
Footnote
inches.
10. A handbreadth is a little more than 8 centimeters, 3.5 inches. So what's 3.5 times 3.15 times 10 is how much?
30 inches.
Okay, so it's 2.5 feet.
Right.
Very high.
Yeah.
Okay. The guardrail has to be strong enough, sturdy enough, that a person could lean on it, but like people it won't fall over. Right? You have to be
2
able
feet. I don't know how much you're leaning.
Sorry?
Has to
Can
withstand
see.
the
How
average
can you just not-
person's body.
Yeah, it always have to be able to, like if you were sitting on it, like
okay.
leaning your
Right.
It's not wobbly. Or...
yeah.
Right.
No, you won't fall over. That's the whole point. Halacha Gimel. Anyone who leaves his roof without a guardrail, bitul mitzvah say fails a positive commandment, which says thou shalt put a guardrail, which we quoted in Halacha 1. Say and violates a prohibition. Shenemar, as the verse reads, like tosim dam b'veisecha, don't have any blood in your house. Literally, they translated it as do not cause blood to be shed in your home.
So 2 mitzvahs you're violating. So one asay
and lois asay. The asay is very specific. Build a guardrail. The lois asay is very broad, which will include more than just guardrail.
Sure.
And it means don't have blood in your house or don't cause blood to be shed in your house means you cannot have anything unsafe in your home, including no guardrail. Right. So it's 2. Echad hagag. Whether you're talking about a roof, or anything that has a danger.
Yeah, that's just
right. Because that's correct. Because the first mitzvah he introduced was thou shalt build a guardrail. That's a very specific mitzvah, and therefore he spoke about guardrail. But once he introduced this other mitzvah, which says don't cause blood to be shed in your home, now he's telling you more than just guardrail. It's telling you make sure your home is safe.
Yeah,
that's right. So now we're going to all of the things that keep your home safe. So look, for example, would you say it's a biblical commandment to have a proper smoke alarm in your home?
I would say yes.
Maybe the answer is yes. I can't say the halacha for sure. Maybe there are abundant that discuss this, I'm sure. But there's a strong reason to say that you have to have a smoke detector in your home.
Yeah, because you need to safeguard.
That's right. So for anyone who thought that Torah is libertarian, says you do whatever you want, not true. There are rules and regulations, even in your privacy of your own home. You have to have a safety. And this is the Bezdin job. If you're running a society in a city with a Bezdin, it would be the Bezdin's job to say, I'm sorry, buddy, your home is unsafe. You have to change the regulations in your house. Knock on your door. We see your balcony. You don't have a fence. Shake the fence. The fence is not strong enough. There's rules and regulations. For personal safety.
Are these halachas maybe drawn from Sanhedrin, the Sechas? No.
Look at the footnotes.
Right. Okay. Is that discuss mostly laws for the Sanhedrin?
No, Sanhedrin discusses much more the laws of how you like structure Sanhedrin and how you deal with capital punishment.
Okay.
Harius also discusses that. Okay, so let's see. Whether it's a roof or whether it's anything that can cause danger. And it's possible that a person would stumble upon that item and die as a result. You're responsible to deal with it. Going, for example, he has a pit in his yard.
Yeah.
He has a pit. Ben yesh by mayim, whether it's a well and has water inside, bein by whether it's empty. Chayav laslis loy chol yagov vayasar tefachim saviv. You have to make a fence around it that's at least 10 tefachim high.
That's what we have today.
But laslis loy kisu, you make a cover. Gedei shalipol by adam yamos, that person shouldn't fall in and die. Right. From the language here, actually, you might argue that the smoke alarm is not a mitzvah. Because here he says to remove something that will cause damage. It doesn't say to insert something that will prevent an emergency. Not that you shouldn't have
I don't understand the difference.
The definition of mitzvah was take a danger and remove it from your home.
Right.
What danger have I removed from my home? What danger is there in my home that I'm removing by putting a smoke detector? There's no present danger I'm removing. It's a precautionary thing in case of an emergency.
Right.
It's not the same thing as removing I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a smoke detector. I'm just saying it may not technically fill this mitzvah. Just saying you can make the argument back and forth. Just something. It's just interesting to see how these things would apply. But we'll get as we go along. We'll get more words.
Say that with a fence around the roof.
No, there's a current danger, which is a fenceless roof, and I have to. That's right, because there's a current danger, and I'm removing it by placing the fence. Okay, let's see more. We'll see. But also that's a positive commandment. Thou shalt build a fence. Here we're talking about the negative commandment, which says don't have any blood, meaning remove anything that might shed blood, right? So, okay,
Yeah.
just putting that out there, but let's keep on going and we'll see
Good point.
if there might be more. Because now we're going to introduce a third mitzvah. So mitzvah number 1 was specific, build a fence. Mitzvah number 2 is remove all obstacles from your home. Thou shalt not have blood in thy house.
Mhm.
Now a third mitzvah. Yeah?
Mhm.
Similarly, there's anything, any item, obstacle that may cause, that has a danger to life, sakonas nefashos. Mitzvahs asay, it's a positive commandment, lasira, to remove it. And to guard oneself from it. And to put up proper precautions. As the verse reads, it's a positive commandment now. Guard yourself, and guard your life, very carefully. So, specific mitzvah, build a fence. Negative commandment, do not have any blood in your home. Positive commandment, take care of yourself. Keep yourself safe. Maybe in this regard, maybe from this mitzvah, you have to have a smoke detector.
Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. Guard your life very well.
Yeah, in that case.
So maybe there is a mitzvah here, positive commandment.
That's
right.
That.
Onto this root, that's right. Just putting it out there, just things to think about in modern terms. Likewise, and if he left this obstacle, which is dangerous, he left a pit in his home or in his yard, an open pit without a fence, open well without a fence, and did not remove this obstacle which would cause danger, bitul mitzvahs asay, he failed the positive commandment, which we just quoted, which says, thou shalt guard thyself. And he also violated the prohibition which says, do not have blood in your home. Yeah? With me?
Yeah.
Going, for example, if a flimsy or unsturdy ladder is hanging out in his house and his yard, mitzvah to get rid of it.
Someone may borrow it.
Even if no one may. You own an object in your home that's danger to life. You have to get rid of it. Right? Leaving a gun lying around. Person owns a gun halachically, leaves it lying around. Right? Or a staircase that isn't properly measured, causing someone to be able to trip. If a person steps in it, it'll fall through. It's halacha to fix it. It's a mitzvah.
Rise and runs are not
Correct.
equal.
If it's built in such a way that it's dangerous,
Yeah.
it is a mitzvah to fix it. And a
Okay.
prohibition to keep it.
Yeah.
A gun. A person owns a gun in his home.
When he doesn't lock it up, pick out the bullets.
If he doesn't have it properly safeguarded,
You can
it's
also
a mitzvah. It's halacha. He's failing to do.
also you make the argument that the same rationale. The one is with the sharpen your knives, because a dull knife is more dangerous.
How's a dull knife more dangerous?
Dull is more dangerous because it'll slip and it'll hurt you. You know.
Oh, I see.
If you're trying to cut something, it won't be able to cut, so you have to use more extra force, and therefore you could
I see. Maybe.
hurt yourself. Sharp knife just glides. So it's safer.
Okay, we're going to see more examples. Likewise, I'm a gadol kelev ra, one who raises a vicious dog, a bad dog. Even if he doesn't bite, it only barks violently, that too is a problem. Because maybe it'll frighten a pregnant woman and cause her to miscarry. Isn't that crazy? Someone who raises a bad dog, a vicious dog, as they translate it here. He is included in the curse mentioned in the Torah with regard to someone who raises pigs. Same thing applies to the one who raises a vicious dog. Very serious.
What's the connection with pigs?
Because you're raising an animal that's not unkosher. You're raising an animal that's not good for human interaction, shall we say? I think that's why it's there.
I would think it's because people buy them to eat. So
No, but that would forbid all kosher.
All kosher animals. You're allowed to own a dog.
Yeah.
It's only a vicious dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's
There's
see.
Not,
Now, if the dog is tied up by a chain, shal barzel, a iron chain, it's got a leash. Mutter, it's permissible, right? Sha'az a murder pachad la'adam menu. Therefore, people aren't scared of it because they see it's chained.
It can still be pretty scary.
Could be still be scary. You have to be very careful. Yeah.
But yeah.
If you're living in a city that's close to the border, it's sort of shima ma'ovim, and you need to set up defenses against invaders. Mutter lagadla, that is permitted to raise such vicious dogs. So if you are in the settlements in Israel, I actually met people do this. They raise vicious dogs to protect the settlements because they're at the borders. There's a real live threat of perhaps an invasion. Invasion doesn't necessarily mean a big army, but one person might come into town and, God forbid, wreak havoc or damage anyone. So they raise dogs that are already willing to attack. Now, when you have such a dog, kosher b'yoyim, you have to tie it during the day. You have to tie it by chain during the daytime, because some people are walking around and you don't want to frighten your locals. But tira b'layla, it could be unchained at night to protect these invaders.
And the locals know at night, don't walk around.
The locals know that there's a dog walking around to protect the city. Scary. It's scary. Yeah. The kelev she'enera, but a dog that isn't so vicious. It's a nice pet. It doesn't bark violently at people. It's permissible to raise these dogs wherever you'd like, whether you're at a border city or not. It does not have to be tied up. So here you have a halacha straight up. Dogs are allowed. People ask all the time, is it halachically okay to own dogs? Absolutely. It's right here. As long as your dog is safe. The akshav, nowadays, it's been common practice that people raise dogs that are not tied up during the daytime, not on a leash. And there are those who give them the benefit of the doubt, considering that they don't bite. But we've kind of disregarded that way. This opinion has been rejected, and we require that people tie them up during the daytime because people might be afraid. That's right. That's right. Keep your dog on leash. Correct.
Maybe.
Call you to Shemayim. Anyone who's got the fear of heaven, Yizor should be careful. That his dog should be in a leash, literally an iron chain. Until such time when people go to sleep. While people are awake and won't roam in the streets, make sure your dog is on a leash. Even if it doesn't bite, but it only barks violently.
There you have it.
They don't use that anymore.
What's that?
The vicious dogs, the guard dogs. Because all you have to do, if you want to get in, is throw the dog a steak.
Yeah, I
Forget everything.
don't know if you've seen the attack dogs at the IDF trainings.
Yeah.
Steak ain't attract. These guys have muzzles, and these dogs are in battlefield fearless.
Yeah.
You watch the videos of these IDF dogs. They're very serious guard dogs. And in the old days, that's what it was. Like the landlords would have these. The landlords or like the local nobility would have these well-trained big dogs, and it was a method of intimidation.
Use goats too and stuff like it at like a bus depot, bus yard, protecting the property of the yard. Goats.
It's interesting.
Like this goats, a
Yeah.
powerful animal, could kick and kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not killing. You've seen the goats in the yard.
Okay. Tomorrow, God willing, we're going to start to move in towards the things that we learned in psachim. About drinking on Tuesdays and Fridays. Some of that stuff are going to come up.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about things that are like forbidden because of just little or danger, like the snake drinking from the water. And we're also going to talk about some of the negative spiritual energy. And we'll try to keep in mind which things came from our Gemara, and more importantly, which things are in our Gemara, which are omitted here. Let's try to think if we can keep that in mind. It'll be interesting to see.
Yes, little review.
Yeah, and it's just curious. The Alter Rebbe didn't do this himself. Everything that he puts in here is because there are post-halachic authorities between the Gemara and him that have included this in halachic instruction.
Right.
which is why he's putting it in there. So it would be curious to see, like, what are the things that for whatever reason, the halachic authority throughout the generations has taken it upon themselves that this is an appropriate halacha to implement, and which things that they felt don't apply anymore. Obviously there's a divine providence in this, that as Torah halachic authorities evolve in their understanding, with majority that come there, there's obviously a divine hand in guiding all of this, and it's curious to see which ones make it down here and which ones do not. God willing, coming. Oh, tomorrow's Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to Texas tomorrow for Shabbos.
Wow.
I've been invited to speak there for Yitzvat, so I'm going tomorrow. I don't know. I will be here for the Chassidus class at 6:30. Definitely, I'll be here for davening. I don't know, based on what time my flight is, whether or not I'll be at the Gemara class.
Okay.
So stay tuned during davening. Otherwise, we'll pick up on Tuesday.
Okay.
God willing.
Where are you going in Texas?
Sorry,
Where are you going in Texas?
Houston.
Oh,
Houston. Ita's sister lives there, and they spoke to the local shluchim and organized that we should come out there for Shabbos, bring and speak. And
What's the topic?
it's Yitzvat, so it's all about the Rebbe's leadership
Oh, okay.
and implementing the Rebbe's vision and learning from that and connecting to that and so on. All right, dude, have a wonderful day.
Good day.